AMD's bold move, acquiring Brium to challenge NVIDIA. AMD has acquired AI software startup Brium, in a move potentially aimed at challenging NVIDIA's dominance in AI software and strengthening support for machine learning workloads on AMD hardware. According to Greyhound Research, nearly 67% of global CIOs identify software maturity, particularly in middleware and runtime optimization, as the primary barrier to adopting alternatives to NVIDIA. Brium addresses one of the most persistent gaps in enterprise AI deployment: the reliance on CUDA-optimized toolchains, said Sanchit Gogia, Chief Analyst and CEO of Greyhound Research. By focusing on inference optimization and hardware-agnostic compatibility, Brium enables pre-trained models to execute across a wider range of accelerators with minimal performance trade-offs. This wave of software-led acquisitions signals AMD's readiness to compete in the most decisive arena of enterprise AI. Trust, Gogia said. Na.ai's compiler work, Mipsology's FPGA bridge, Silo AI's MLOps capabilities, and now Brium's runtime optimization represent a deliberate effort to serve every phase of the AI model lifecycle. As quoted in networkworld.com, in an article authored by Prasant, by Thomas published on June 5, 2025. Beyond the media quote, our view in full. Press for time? You can focus solely on the Greyhound flashpoints that follow. Each one distills the full analysis into a sharp, executive-ready takeaway, combining our official standpoint, validated through pulse data from ongoing CXO trackers, and grounded in field notes from real-world advisory engagements. Can Brium narrow the AI software gap between AMD and NVIDIA? Greyhound Flashpoint. AMD's acquisition of Brium signals a strategic turning point in its effort to build a viable alternative to NVIDIA's AI software dominance. According to the Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 67% of global CIOs cite software maturity, especially middleware and runtime optimization, as a major barrier to diversifying their AI hardware choices. Brium's compiler-driven approach to optimizing inference across architectures helps break this lock-in. While NVIDIA continues to dominate the developer ecosystem, AMD's expanding open-source stack, now bolstered by Brium, offers a fresh model of performance and portability across diverse enterprise AI environments. Greyhound Standpoint. According to Greyhound Research, Brium addresses one of the most persistent gaps in enterprise AI deployment: the reliance on CUDA-optimized toolchains. By focusing on inference optimization and hardware-agnostic compatibility, Brium enables pre-trained models to execute across a wider range of accelerators with minimal performance trade-offs. While it won't immediately equalize the playing field, it gives AMD a stronger foothold in building a coherent, open alternative to NVIDIA's tightly integrated stack. The real differentiator lies in AMD's commitment to openness. Brium strengthens its case for an AI ecosystem defined not by lock-in, but by choice and cross-platform operability. Greyhound Pulse. From the Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 72% of CIOs in automotive, manufacturing, and logistics sectors cited single-vendor software dependency as a major inhibitor to scaling AI workloads. While 49% of these are open to diversifying hardware for inference, most face integration delays due to software misalignment with non-NVIDIA infrastructure. The demand for runtime abstraction and standardized performance tooling has never been higher. Brium enters at a moment where enterprises are not just questioning their silicon stack, but rethinking how software complexity limits flexibility, performance governance, and long-term AI roadmap planning. Greyhound Field Note. Per a recent Greyhound Field Note from a global telco operator in Europe, a multi-million-dollar AI deployment for network automation encountered delays due to runtime lock-in and lack of plug-and-play inference tooling on alternate hardware. Despite attempts to leverage generic frameworks, the team was forced to revert to the original hardware vendor due to unpredictable latency and insufficient compiler support. The project was later rescoped at 30% higher cost. The episode underscores a recurring theme in regulated sectors. Without robust translation layers and software lifecycle tooling, cross-hardware AI flexibility remains aspirational. Brium's integration must directly solve for this latency governance trade-off if it is to shift enterprise sentiment. Can Brium solve AI portability challenges in heterogeneous enterprise environments? Greyhound Flashpoint. Cross-hardware AI portability remains one of the most pressing challenges for enterprise adoption at scale. Most models today are trained and optimized with NVIDIA GPUs in mind, creating downstream friction when deploying on alternative accelerators. According to the Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 58% of global CIOs say adapting pre-trained models across hardware stacks results in avoidable delays. Brium's compiler-first approach offers a path to resolve these bottlenecks by improving interoperability between model formats, runtimes, and underlying silicon. Greyhound standpoint. According to Greyhound Research, while ONNX and similar intermediate representations promise model portability, they still require painstaking tuning and performance validation across non-standard hardware. What tools like Brium offer is deeper compiler-level control and execution planning to maximize inference performance while maintaining cross-compatibility. This is particularly critical in edge AI deployments, hybrid cloud pipelines, and sovereign environments where hardware choice is dictated by cost, regulation, or geography. If implemented effectively, Brium has the potential to shift the portability conversation from one of translation to one of trust, especially for models running in production. Greyhound Pulse. The Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025 reveals that 61% of enterprises building distributed AI platforms have faced multi-stage delays due to retooling models for alternative hardware. This includes re-optimization of quantization strategies, container orchestration, and compliance validations. Among those surveyed, 44% reported additional consultant dependencies when moving away from NVIDIA-tuned environments. This indicates not only a skills gap, but a tooling gap, where model compatibility tooling must embed observability, auditability, and repeatability. Enterprises are no longer content with technical compatibility alone. They demand lifecycle assurances from software stacks, especially at inference layers. Greyhound Field Note. Per a recent Greyhound Field Note from an Asia-Pacific financial institution, a cross-cloud fraud detection model failed to scale across 2 data centers due to persistent inconsistencies in inference performance between NVIDIA-optimized training and deployment environments. Despite using ONNX, batch inference suffered from sub-5% accuracy deviations that could not be explained until low-level kernel behaviors were profiled. The in-house team eventually abandoned hardware diversification efforts for that use case. This experience highlights a critical point. Inference optimization and tooling maturity, not hardware specs, are now the true currency of enterprise AI performance. Tools like Brium will be evaluated not by promise, but by their ability to reduce such governance risk. Will AMD's software-led M&A strategy shift the enterprise AI tooling landscape? Greyhound Flashpoint. AMD's acquisition of Brium, following its prior buys of Node.ai, Silo AI, and Mipsology, reflects a clear pivot from hardware-centric ambition to full-stack AI platform competitiveness. According to Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025, 54% of global CIOs now favor vendors that offer not just silicon, but integrated AI development, observability, and lifecycle tooling. AMD's cumulative software portfolio positions it to offer enterprises an open, multi-stage AI toolchain capable of challenging the closed-loop efficiency of NVIDIA's ecosystem. The next 12 to 18 months will test whether AMD can unify these assets into a coherent, production-grade alternative. Greyhound standpoint. According to Greyhound Research, this wave of software-led acquisitions signals AMD's readiness to compete in the most decisive arena of enterprise AI, trust. Node.ai's compiler work, Mipsology's FPGA bridge, Silo AI's MLOps capabilities, and now Brium's runtime optimization represent a deliberate effort to serve every phase of the AI model lifecycle. AMD's strength won't merely lie in open standards. It must now deliver integration, stability, and roadmap clarity. The battle has shifted from performance per watt to lifecycle resilience per workload. In regulated and mission-critical environments, CIOs will choose the stack that balances performance with long-term governance. AMD has the right parts. The question is whether it can architect the whole. Greyhound Pulse. The Greyhound CIO Pulse 2025 indicates that 63% of enterprises with over $1 billion in IT budgets plan to standardize on multi-vendor AI hardware. Yet 47% of those lack confidence in the software lifecycle support outside of incumbent platforms. Critically, 39% stated that current alternatives do not provide consistent documentation, SLAs, or deployment telemetry across AI model transitions. While interest in decoupling from monolithic ecosystems is growing, enterprise AI leaders need more than open APIs. They need platforms that offer continuity, control, and confidence. AMD's expanded software stack must now be matched by platform discipline and execution depth. Greyhound Field Note. Per a recent Greyhound Field Note from a European pharmaceutical major exploring AI-powered discovery, the The team deployed modular AI pipelines for molecule synthesis, but experienced drift between training and deployment due to fragmented tooling. Though model performance was validated pre-launch, the post-deployment monitoring stack lacked integration with the MLOps pipeline, leading to false positives and misaligned inference patterns in production. The project exposed how even well-intentioned multi-tool strategies can fail without a unified lifecycle interface. AMD's future success will rest on addressing this very friction, not just porting models, but managing them end-to-end with observability, policy hooks, and domain-specific governance. Analyst in focus, Sanchit Gogia. Sanchit Gogia, or SVG as he is popularly known, is a globally recognized technology analyst, innovation strategist, digital consultant, and board advisor. SVG is the chief analyst, founder and CEO of Greyhound Research, a global, award-winning technology research, advisory, consulting, and education firm. Greyhound Research works closely with global organizations, their CXOs, and the board of directors on technology and digital transformation decisions. SVG is also the founder and CEO of the House of Greyhound, an eclectic venture focusing on interdisciplinary innovation. Copyright policy. All content contained on the Greyhound Research website is protected by copyright law and may not be reproduced, distributed, transmitted, displayed, published, or broadcast without the prior written permission of Greyhound Research or, in the case of third-party materials, the prior written consent of the copyright owner of that content. You may not alter, delete, obscure, or conceal any trademark, copyright, or other notice appearing in any Greyhound Research content. We request our readers not to copy Greyhound Research content and not republish or redistribute them, in whole or partially, via emails or republishing them in any media, including websites, newsletters, or intranets. We understand that you may want to share this content with others, so we've added tools under each content piece that allow you to share the content. If you have any questions, please get in touch with our community relations team at connect@thofra.com.